was able to finish the game, but will most likely be out for a few weeks as well. We'll see if he can make it back before the end of the year. Both those guys, of course, will be conservative. If they can get back and play at full strength, they're great. If not, we'll try to take care of them, make sure they get back healthy. Malik Antoine also was not able to finish the game, and he's maybe this week, but I would probably say doubtful right now. So it's three starters that we're going to miss if they can't play. KJ Costello, like Paulson, kind of pushed through, was able to finish the game. He's back to questionable this week. Didn't practice yesterday, won't practice today, and we'll see where he is tomorrow. Probably make a decision before Friday, most likely, on whether or not he can go. Thankfully, Davis is back and healthy and participating. Practiced last week, practiced last night. He'll practice today. So if KJ can't go, then Davis should be ready to go. One positive note on the injury, Curtis Robinson will practice today. We'll see how he goes. See if he can progress well enough, make it to the end of the week and play. We're hopeful. He's hopeful. He was able to move around and do drills yesterday. And then we'll give him some limited reps in practice today, see where he is. On the game, just the penalties were disheartening. The two offsides, the two face mask penalties, which were momentarily inadvertent, but you got to let go. You can put your hand on the face mask, you can't grasp it. Personal foul on the offensive side was a good call, and just we learned a big lesson there on being aggressive. We want to be aggressive, but we got to know when a guy's on the ground, we can't continue to go after him. Lesson for everybody there, and that's a reason why football is called a game of inches. Simi Fehoko back of the end zone, was on the line just barely. We end up, trading a touchdown for a field goal attempt. Missed a field goal by not very much. Almost blocked a field goal. Was very close. But that's the difference between winning and losing, is being on the wrong side of those inches. So back at it. Another road game. Tough environment to play. I guess it's a very good football team that scores a lot of points, and has really gotten after us the last few years. Last year was a tight game. Some great plays by them towards the end of the game. Some great plays by us to come back and tie it, and then an outstanding performance by the quarterback, who's now in Jacksonville, to come back and put him in position to win the football game. So anticipate this is going to be a tight game, close game, and a hard-fought game. And hopefully we learn some lessons from this week and go out there and finish in the fourth quarter.
Coach, a couple other players to kind of clarify. Can you update the status of Trevor Speight?
Trevor Spates is out.
And are you still hopeful that Devery Hamilton may be available at some point this season?
We're very hopeful early on. He's progressed pretty well in the last week or so, and we'll see if he can progress faster the next couple weeks. But it's looking less likely.
And you talked about KJ kind of pushing through what he was dealing with during the game Saturday. How, if in any way, did you see it affect him?
Which is really why we didn't address it on game day. He took a big hit and got on the sidelines, said, "Hey, I can throw. I'm okay." Threw it well. Maybe one or two. It wasn't drastic. I thought in the Oregon game, I thought you could kind of tell something was bothering him. He came back and threw a strike to Simi Fehoko in the fourth quarter. It's a big-time throw. So it didn't present itself, but one of those things when the adrenaline wears off and, you get a chance to reassess and then you go back and look at the film and say, okay, that was a hell of a hit he took. And I commend him for fighting through, and we'll see if he's able to go this week.
Mixed bag defensively, 16 points allowed. That's so far on the road this year, but you have some penalties, abilities to get off the field. How do you sum up things defensively last week?
Well, I told the team yesterday, it's kind of where we are right now. You take, in every single game we've played, you take our best plays from those games and you say, wow, right? I mean, great sack on the quarterback by Casey Toohill, a couple of outstanding TFLs by Dalen Wade-Perry, by Tomas Schaffer, by Mike Williams. I mean, outstanding plays. J.J. Parsons jumps in front of that ball, big-time interception. And then you look at some critical downs. We have a chance to stop them on third down. Got them at 3rd and long. And we don't get pressure, which is an understandable 3-man rush. But then they get behind us and hit a deep end cut to get the first down. Get them on 3rd down again, 3rd and long, and they throw a screen. And we make one mistake, and boom, the ball gets outside, and it's a first down. So the combination of us playing really well, but then not finishing those drives and getting off the field, that was difficult. But the biggest thing for me and for everybody in this sport is no matter how the game goes, high-scoring game, low-scoring game, you get into the fourth quarter and you have a lead, you got to put it away. And we had a chance offensively. We didn't get it done. We had a chance special teams-wise with a field goal in the second half. We didn't get it done. And we had a chance on defense, both with the lead in the fourth quarter. They went down and scored, and then with the tie game to try to get a stop, and we couldn't get a stop. Had multiple 3rd downs, had a fourth down opportunity. So it's a combination of those things where you look at the plays that we do well, and you see we're capable. Regardless of the injuries, regardless of who's not out there, you see the guys on the field are capable. But it's now about being consistent and always doing it right every single play. And most importantly, when it matters, which is 3rd down, 4th down, and any time in the fourth quarter.
Offense has done well at finishing, like it's realizing that it's finishing with more field goals and probably than you would like to see. What have you seen from that side of the ball? These 9 games and what's kind of leading some of those skills?
It's the game of inches. Mentioned it, Semifoco back of the end zone. I mean, just barely. What do you do differently? He puts his foot down 4 inches to the left, and he's in. But it's not just that play. Just looking at Semi from the beginning of the year, for whatever reason, we've just barely missed Semi so many times. Part of it is guys working together. How much time had he and Davis put in together before they played against USC? Missed him a couple times there. KJ misses a lot of time, comes back, barely misses Colby on one, barely misses Simi on another one. So that's where we've been in the red zone, to where we had a lot of red zone touchdowns last year, and JJ did a great job. But we've also missed Colby 5 times during the year. He's got 1 touchdown. We probably missed him 5 other times. Could have anywhere from 4 to 6 more touchdowns. So it's about execution. It's about making sure we're working on those things over and over again. Make sure when it's time we make those throws. And sometimes it's the release, and we got to get that great release. We're also playing against teams that, hey, they know we're throwing the ball to the big guys in the end zone. So there's a lot of jockeying for position, and we have to win those jockeying for position plays. So as much as anything throughout the year, which I've gone back, I watch every game probably 5 times before we play the next one. And I go back at times and watch, say, what are we doing well? What do we need to keep working on? And as I continue to go back and look at everything that we've done, that's the hard part, is that we're close, but we don't hit it. So through the course of the year, way too many field goals. I believe we have an offense that should not be scoring as few as we do. Are there times where protection's an issue? Absolutely. The throw where KJ got hurt on against Oregon, the ball got ticked up, but that was when we had one-on-one with Colby in the end zone, and goes a little bit farther outside. He makes the catch, but he's about 6 inches out of bounds. The throw that got intercepted on Saturday, that's a catch and run for Connor Weddington with one guy to beat for a touchdown. Had a chance to be a heck of a play, but push in the face, guy hits his arm, and the ball flutters. So all of those things have to work together for us to be better than we've been. So our guys have grown a ton up front, and we're much better in protection than we were probably 3 games ago. But those still 2 or 3 plays that are tough, and those games of inches, inches on the sidelines, inches in the back of the end zone, just barely overshooting a play, getting a better release. Those are the things that we have to improve on for us to be better than how we've been.
Going from that and excluding the win-loss result, what do you want to see from the team over these last 2 games to consider this last quarter of the season a success?
Yeah. I don't ever change what I'm looking for. Effort and execution. I say it different ways. We call it passion. We call it love of the game. We call it effort. That's our bare minimum. And then the execution part of it. Guys going out there doing their jobs and doing it well. And then when it's time to make the plays, we got to make the plays. We have the capabilities. There's no question about that. I'm pushing the coaches all the time. Hey, keep looking at what we're doing. Keep talking to them about, make sure they completely understand their jobs and why it's so important for you to be in this gap or et cetera. Make sure we won't have any confusion, which happens periodically when you have rotating starters, right? This guy's out for 2 games. This guy's in for 2 games. This guy was a 3rd stringer 2 weeks ago. Now he's back there playing. But at the same time, I commend our guys for their effort, for their desire, for their mentality to step up every single time. You got a guy like Tristan Sinclair. So a month ago, he's just doing scout team. Now he's playing significant minutes and doing well. Loa Kafusi, scout team a month ago. Now he's playing a lot of snaps and playing well. So we've had a lot of guys that have had to be thrust into vital positions without a lot of playing time early in the year, and they've stepped up and played at a high level. So there's that balance between what we want to have happen on the scoreboard and what we're seeing on the film. And we're seeing enough good things in the film. It just has to be done with more consistency so we can put ourselves in position to win games and then win them. It's one thing to be put in position, whereas this past game we put ourselves in position. We didn't finish on special teams. We didn't finish on offense. We didn't finish on defense.
What do you make of Washington State? Interesting season for them, obviously. Matchup.
Yeah, and honestly, it looks familiar. Watching them, it's like watching us. When you see their best plays, they're as good as anybody in America. The way they throw it around, the number of receivers that they have, they can score, 21 points a quarter if you let them. They just keep rolling. And you see some turnovers, you see some missed opportunities. Defensively, it's that same helter-skelter kind of a defense that they run up there, and there's a lot of movement. They can get after the quarterback. They cancel running lanes. You try to wind back, and next thing you know, there's 2 guys back in the hole, and they get TFLs. And they've had a couple missed tackles and given up some explosive plays. So looking at both of these teams both our team and Washington State, their best is still really good. It's about which team can be at their best for the longest time on Saturday, and then be at their best when it counts the most in the fourth quarter.
When a player is banged up during a game, what does that process look like? Obviously, it involves trainers and everything to determine if he should keep playing or if it's a better decision to have a backup plan.
So a lot of it is anecdotal. How do you feel? You know, what's hurting, and then you get an evaluation, and the on-field evaluation is okay. Can you do this? Can you do that? Let me see you do this. Let me see you run. Let me see you throw. And if there's nothing that stands out, and the athlete says, I think I can go back out there and play, okay, great. They let the coaches know. And then once that player goes back in, okay, they say they're fine, they're checked up by the trainer, but then with our own eyes, can they still do what they need to do? On the flip side, at any point in time during the evaluation, the student athlete says, gosh, I can't go. Or the trainer says, okay, you know what, I'm looking at you, and there are a couple things that you can't do. Okay, now we got to get x-rays, or now we got to get further evaluation to make sure that you're okay. So, and this happens in every single game in across the nation, from high school to college to the NFL. For like in Malik's case, you know, had the desire to go back in. I think I'm okay. Couldn't quite pass the test. Okay, let's send him back inside. Let's get it further. Come back out. You know what? We can't okay him to go back in. To the point, like to KJ's side, as I said, ooh, man, that kind of hurt. But you know what? I think I'm okay. I can still throw it. Looks normal. Can throw it. Can play. Can operate. Go out there and look like nothing's wrong. Okay, great. Goes back out there and plays well. And then, you know, the day after sometimes, then that adrenaline wears off and you get reevaluated. And it was not a mistake at all to put him back in, because he can go out there and function. But the day after games, there's swelling, and a lot of guys that they didn't even know they're hurt. You know, they didn't know anything happened until they try to wake up Sunday morning and say, oh my gosh, which once again happens all across America. And you get those. That's why those Sunday morning evaluations are so vital, because things crop up all the time. So that's the process to make sure that we're protecting our guys the best as possible, sometimes from themselves, but at the same time making sure that guys can go out there and function and be safe in a very violent football game.
You've addressed this a couple of times in a way where talking about the number of injuries you guys have had to endure, that there isn't anything dramatically different that you guys have been doing to prepare the guys that maybe you can point to as a cause. And then there's obviously each individual injury is its own
Yeah.
situation. But do you anticipate some type of after-season review of what happened, and if there's anything maybe you guys want to try, even if there wasn't?
We haven't waited till after the season. We've done a review multiple times. I mean, it's a pretty long list of injuries. So between doctors, athletic trainers, sports performance, equipment, we've done it multiple times this year to track as correlations as best as possible. Is there anything that we could do to prevent these things? But you watch the film from this past game, and the injuries, you know, Tucker, I don't know if you saw it. There's nothing you can do in the weight room or training room to prevent that. So it's been one of those crazy years where, for the most part, I think we have 25 guys right now, almost a quarter of the team, missing significant time. And there are only 2 of those injuries that are similar. Only 2. And they're both foot injuries. And that's their only similarity. They're 2 different foot injuries, but they're the only 2 that are like, okay, this is kind of in the same area. But it's one of those things we constantly look at between being as preventative as we can, and at the same time making sure that our rehab process is one that is comprehensive enough so that we don't have a reoccurrence of the same injury.
How has it been, or I guess how do you kind of evaluate Colby's season, or, kind of expectations versus reality? I'm sure that's been driven by the way the teams have sort of schemed against him. And then are you seeing sort of like any kind of benefits where other guys are big open, other opportunities are being presented based on the way that Colby's been?
Absolutely. I think the way that Colby has been defended is a huge sign of respect. Part of what he did last year and part of what he did earlier in the season, to where, it's been tough for him to get off the line sometimes and to really work the seams. He's fought through pass interference multiple times, made some great catches while getting interfered. But I do believe that's helped other guys get open. Pretty much when you're on his side and there's a safety over the top and stays on him, then whoever's outside's got an opportunity. When he's in the slot, we've been able to work inside and outside of him based on the coverage. And there are times, too, where we still go to him when he's got guys draped on him. And KJ has a great comfort level with him. KJ made 2 great throws to him where he was technically covered, and one of them being interfered on. But you just know if you put it high enough and soft enough, regardless of what the defender's doing, he's going to have an opportunity. And one of those was on a 3rd down play. It was just an outstanding play by him as the guy's draped on him, and KJ's got a guy bearing down on him coming from his left side and just gets just enough on it just to get it up in the air. And Colby comes down with it, and we get a 1st down. So I think Colby's had a really good year. The numbers aren't astronomical, but it's not about numbers, it's about the film. And when you can see that he's drawn that much attention and allowed other guys to get single coverage, whether it be Simi or Connor or Mike in particular, that's been helpful to us.
Can you give any examples of any freshmen who maybe haven't played yet that with the number of games left, anticipate getting a role on the field?
Yeah, there are a few. Zarin Manley is one off the top of my head who's gotten into a game or two, but still has some games to play. If we want to save that freshman year for him, he's been close on special teams, and with Paulson being out now, he's now a step closer to getting on the field. So we don't feel like we need to hold him. If we need to rotate him in, we'll rotate him in. He's practiced really well. I think a guy like Nick Toomer was injured the majority of the first half of the year, and now has been able to practice and string a couple weeks of good practice together. And now he's a backup on a couple spots on special teams and had his chance to roll in there. And once again, with Paulson being out, one step closer to getting on the field on the defensive side and getting a lot of reps there to make sure he's ready to go and knows what to do. So those are the 2 obvious ones right now, especially with Paulson's health situation.
After looking at the film, who played well, maybe that didn't show up in the stat sheet?
2 guys, I don't know how else to say it. It might have been Drew Dahlman's best game of his career. He was awesome. Absolutely awesome. And in my mind, he's probably in a group of about 3 guys is potentially one of the best centers in our conference. He's played really well early on, and he's gotten better and better. Foster Sorrell, same thing. And Foster played really well. Some really funky looks that we didn't anticipate, and one was really difficult. It was on our left side with our 2 freshmen. It was hard for those guys to handle. Foster got the same look, and without any prep, just saw it, recognized it, jumps off of one guy and gets back on another guy and keeps him from hitting the quarterback. So those 2 guys, I thought were really, really outstanding.
teachers out there as well, with the young guys? I mean, are they kind of reminding them where to go once in a while? And
There's no question. There's no question. And Drew kind of has to take that mantle anyway, being the center. He's got to drive the ship, as we call it, up front. And it's one of those things, too, last year during the process of him really having to take the reins and being loud and demonstrative and right. Those are three things that you have to be there at the center position. You got to be right. You got to be loud. You got to be demonstrative. You got to make sure the guys know what they're doing. And I think Foster's done a great job of just communicating and making sure Jake knows where he's supposed to go. Jake, I think, has done a great job of picking things up. But I think those two now have a really good communication between the two of them. And on the left side, honestly, the guys on the left side have played a lot of football now this year, and their communication has gotten better. Their vision has gotten better. Their anticipation has gotten better. Still not perfect, but has gotten a lot better. But our two junior veterans in there have really helped those guys learn and grow.
How's Walker doing in his recovery, and what kind of role has he taken on, the offensive lineman while not being able?
That's always a tough one. It's always a tough one. No matter what kind of a leader you are, when you're not on the field, it's hard to feel the same. So our injured guys, our long-term injured guys, aren't out at practice a lot because they take that time to whether it's lift weights or do rehab. They're coming out at the end of practice, watching the end of practice, but they're always in the meetings. And that's one of the things I talked to Walker about is, hey, you've got so much experience. You've got a strong voice in that room. And, just grabbing one of these freshmen and giving them 1 or 2 pointers, I think it's going to be huge for those guys because they respect him, not just because he's a great talent, but they respect him because he's earned their respect as a guy. So that's a challenge for all those injured guys, especially those experienced older guys, just saying one thing in the meeting, taking Coach Carberry's point, hey, this is the way I think of it, boom. Those things really help the young guys grow, and they show that you're still invested in the program, you're still invested in these guys and in them playing well, and that you care about them. That goes a long way for our team and those relationships.
Just kind of wondering, Walker almost as an example, do you during the season or the coaches during the season have any conversations with guys who might have decisions to make about their future after the season, and it's a conversation about, hey, this is what we could be if injured guys are healthy and if people make the decision to come back. Do those happen at all during or after the season?
Those for me are all after the season conversations. Every once in a while, if the guy wants to have the conversation, if the player wants to have the conversation before that, then we can have it. But when we have that conversation, I've told them, and this has been every year that I've been the head coach, I've told them this is an individual decision. I'll give you the best context I can give you the most information I can gather for you. But I don't ever advise them to make a decision based on the team. I never have, and I never will. This is not, hey, come back and look at what we can become. If that's how they want to think, hey, that's fine. I try to give them my opinion, having gone through 9 NFL drafts as a member of an NFL team, and then the last 8 or 9 years evaluating and talking to GMs and a few owners and a lot of scouts, working for the NFL draft. So I have a lot of information. I want to make sure they have all the right information to think about short-term and long-term, benefits of coming back, benefits of leaving, shortcomings of coming back, shortcomings of leaving. That's where I do. I try not to ever put Stanford football in the mix. If they want to, great, that's them. If I do it, then it's self-serving for me, and I want them to know that I am in the context of that conversation, I am 100% caring about the individual and not the team, which sounds counterproductive, but to me, I think that's the best way for them to respect my opinion, because it's an unbiased opinion. It has nothing to do with Stanford football. It has to do with what's best for them in their future, short term and long term, and guide them and help them make the decision that's best for them. So, yeah, I have never factored that in, and I won't start now.
It would seem that you and Mike Leach have different approaches.
You think?
How would you compare and contrast your guys' outlook on offense?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have a good answer for that. I don't know that Mike Leach has a good answer for that. I think that we, commonalities wise, we enjoy the game. We enjoy the chess match of game day. My call sheet is 10 times bigger than his. But when you watch him, you don't see that because he's the master adjuster, right? He'll say he's got 5 pass plays in the game, but they look like 25 because he'll call one and then tag a receiver to do something different. Then he'll call the same play and tag a different receiver and ask him to do something different. So the manipulation of whatever is on that 3x5 card, it's always more than it seems. And at the same time, for us on that big call sheet, there are a lot of those plays that are very, very similar with 1 or 2 tweaks. So we just call them something different. He calls it the same thing. We call it something different. Yeah, it's really really hard to compare and contrast. Thank you.
Junior safety Stuart Head.
So Stuart, going against Washington State, you know, you're probably going to see about 40 to 50 passes. As a defensive back, is that something you welcome because you know you're going to be active, or does it give you apprehension? Kind of what's sort of the mindset?
Yeah, going into Washington State week, it's probably the most hectic preparation week in the whole season for the DB specifically. I think we like to invite that challenge for ourselves. They always have the leading passer in the country under Mike Leach. He promotes his quarterbacks like that. They have a great group of receivers every year. I think we like that challenge, and we know that we can affect the game in a positive way if we're prepared and ready on Saturday.
What are the 3 biggest boxes that you need to check as a defensive back to kind of combat that and defend a team like Washington State?
Yeah, Washington State, they run a lot of different concepts, but similar concepts in different formations. So you won't see a lot of different things, but if your eyes are disciplined and if we play sound defense and tackle well, I think we can get the job done, and that's what we've done whenever we've beaten them.
How is their version of the air raid and that offensive team different from what you guys saw earlier this year against USC?
Yeah, it's different. I think they like to move the ball in short chunks down the field. USC likes to take more shots. Explosive plays depend on explosive plays more. The quarterback likes to take a profit rather than take shots in Washington State's offense, probably rather than USC's quarterback.
How would you describe this journey for you of getting your sea legs under you after missing some time, a great camp, and then getting injured, and playing start of the game?
Yeah, so for me, it's been a wild journey. Building up, I didn't play in spring. I was out with a shoulder injury, so I was preparing all year to come back in training camp and kind of establish my role. I thought I had a good camp, and going into game week of Northwestern, I hurt my knee. I sprained my MCL, and that was kind of disheartening. I had to fight back for the next 4 or 5 weeks, but I stayed in it. Coach Aquino was always good with me, trying to get mental reps, not take any steps back from a good camp that I had. And that's kind of been the same thing with other guys that are missing time. But I thought I didn't take any steps back when I did come back and got into the rotation. Thought I've helped my team for the most part when I've been back.
On that first big hit, you did it.
It felt good, yeah. Hitting someone that wasn't my team for the first time in a year felt good, yeah.
Overall, would you say that was, one of the best areas? Where would you rank that game, the Colorado game, as a defensive unit?
The Colorado game as a defensive unit, I thought we did some good things. Obviously, we played better games. We lost the critical situation battle, so that game kind of hurt. But I thought we did some good things. We played good red zone defense. We just got to, get the ball back before they drive all the way down the field, win the critical battles, be a better tackling defense, make the plays when they're presented.
Coach said that because of injuries, there's a chance Zeron Manley and Coomer are going to have to play more this week. What have you seen from them as they've grown this season?
Yeah, Zeron Manley, Nick Toomer, both great young corners. I think they've helped our team a lot with special teams, being a backup on defense and special teams throughout the year. But they've rotated in, played well in practice. They've gotten reps a lot more starting yesterday too, considering injuries. But we have a good next man up mentality, and I think whoever we put on the field will be ready come Saturday.
Speaking on critical situation,
Yeah.
just walk us through your perspective of the 4th and 1 play.
Yeah.
What, if anything, could or did you differently?
That 4th and 1 against Colorado, pretty much we were in a zero coverage man. I was down on the tight end. I knew the ball was going to go to number 2. They're big, strong receivers, their go-to guy. They ran fast sweep my way. I played outside, came in my gap. If I could do it over again, I'd probably knife, maybe shoot the gap quicker, take out his legs. I don't know. It's just a poor tackling effort from me overall in the Colorado game, and I have to be better this Saturday. But I think we had the right intent, right effort. Just the execution wasn't there, obviously.
I'll give it to Stuart. All right, thanks, Stuart.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck this fall.
This is kind of close quarters. All right.
Hey, Pastor.
How's it going?
All right. So, Coach Sean was kind of talking about how well he feels you and Drew are playing up front. And at the same time, it seems to be kind of worth remembering that just because you guys are the most experienced up front doesn't mean you guys are super experienced.
Yeah.
What do you feel like are the biggest improvements you and Drew have been making these past few years?
I don't know if it's like specific details that we've like. I mean, we've obviously like focused on our own crafts and how to get better at that. I think it's just like the roles we've had to kind of be pushed into, and I think over the course of the off season and right now, like we've kind of like molded into that role as like time's just gone on, and because of that, I feel like that just gives us more of an opportunity to kind of like try new things, try what's different, talk to each other about how to become better, just because we feel that veteranship between each other, and I think that really helps.
Cougs have taken pride in their speed defense over the past few years, quick and accurate, especially up front. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for them so far this year. How would you this year's Coug defense, especially up front, the guys you're going to be facing, so what you might face the last couple of years?
I mean, they're super similar. You kind of know what you're getting with Wazoo. They're lighter, but they move a lot. They stun a lot. They have good juice. They kind of play with the chip on their shoulder. I feel like that's kind of always been the same for a while since Coach Leach has been up there. I feel like it's a great challenge for us. You know, we got some young guys on our line, but it's going to be really fun to kind of deal with that movement and see how we can gash them and make some big plays.
What was the things that Colorado did against you guys up front that allowed them to be successful, you know, when they did have success in, you know, I guess on third down?
Yeah. I mean, there were 2 third downs that really stand out to me where they just bring pressures that we knew were coming, but we just had a different kind of sort or slide protection on. That if we did it a different way, would have just like worked out a little bit different, maybe better. But besides that, I didn't really find anything else that was too out there and that made us struggle too much. I mean, they were a good football team. They're well coached. And I feel like it was just a battle of talent. I feel like there was just a couple plays where they got the best of us. But besides that, I'm pretty confident in our ability and kind of what we did out there. I feel like we ran the rock pretty well. We definitely could protect a little bit better, but just good things to build off of.
I think this was I think they had the same starting combination for the third straight game. I think the first one's happened.
Oh, yeah.
Just, you know, what are you seeing on the film, and you know, how's that cohesion coming to finally having the same group of guys together?
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better as we've progressed. Learning, like for me, I was with Henry all of year, and we have a really close bond and get along very well. And then Jake became kind of the new guy once Henry got hurt, and so just kind of getting to understand Jake more and us trying to get on the same level and kind of understand each other's tendencies and how we see things. And it's gotten a lot better. I feel really comfortable with having Jake next to me and having Barrett and Walter on the other side. And I really have no complaints about it right now. I mean, the game of football is hard, playing against other guys who are scholarshiped and who are picked to go to those schools. And so, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but I feel like what we got right now has done a good job.
And then, how I know you and Walker are pretty close. You know, having coming together, being recruited together. How has he been handling, you know, this season and being out? And, you know, how difficult is it to be that guy who is a part of the team but can't get out there on Saturdays and can't really, you know, go out and do what you came to school to do?
Yeah. I mean, he's doing really good with it. I think right now he's very positive, and he's just trying to get better and trying to just, like, you know, get better every day and increase certain things that he wants to focus on and stuff like that. Personally, I was kind of in similar shoes last year with my injury. I was kind of out all year and just watching from the sidelines. And it's definitely not the place you want to be, but it's a great place when you're in it to use the opportunity to observe. And so I don't know if that's what he's doing, but I know that he's been really involved in our meetings. He talks to a lot of the young guys on how to get better. I mean, he has a wealth of knowledge, and he's a great football player. And so I think he's been really good in that aspect of how to deal with the younger guys and how to, you know, me and him talk to each other all about my sets and my hands and just like little stuff like that. And so I feel like Walker's done a really good job dealing with it this year.
What's been the offensive line's best moment so far this season?
Wow, that's a big question. There's definitely been a couple. I think the Northwestern win for me was a big one just because it was my first start, and it was like all the boys, you know, like kind of the guys that, you know, we've rolled with for a couple years, and we went out there and I thought we like really imposed our will, and we, you know, had time possession was like 35 minutes. So that was a big one. I feel like Arizona, we ran the rock really well. I don't know. I mean, this year's had just so many components to it, and you know, just things moving around. But Washington was huge. That was a big win. That was a great job by our line. I don't really have a specific play or game, but I think this whole year has just been a really good opportunity to understand that kind of like the next man up mentality is real. And because of that, we've gone a lot better. And I think Coach Carberry's pushed us in a good way, and I've really enjoyed it.
Going through the state of Washington, any extra little impetus that you're feeling this week?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it's the east side of Washington. I'm a west side guy. So, I mean, if it was up at UW, I definitely feel a little bit more. But, I mean, Wazoo, I didn't talk to them a whole lot in my recruiting process. I know a couple guys there. I know a lot of people that go to school there. So that'll be fun, just kind of playing around people that I grew up with my whole life and stuff like that. And so that'll be fun. I'd like to go ball out and get a win and, you know, kind of shut everybody up and show how good we are. And so that's kind of my goal.
Have you spent much time out there in Pullman?
I actually have not. I did not make it to the Palouse very much. During my recruiting process, I was mainly going to Washington and never really got over on the east side of the mountains. But I've definitely spent some time on the east side of the mountains doing other things like baseball tournaments and stuff like that. And so Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Last time we were there, I think it snowed like crazy. It was super cold, and so you never know what you're going to get in the Palouse, man.
All good? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys.